What if you could step out of a time machine and onto the ancient Earth, breathe in air 100 million years old, hear the distant bellow of a predator, and feel the ground shake beneath the footsteps of giants? Here's the shocking truth. You wouldn't last a single second. Forget running, fighting, or hiding. Our modern bodies, senses, and instincts would betray us instantly in a world ruled by dinosaurs. But that raises a haunting question. If we couldn't survive, how did our own ancestors make it? In this video, we're plunging into the world of dinosaurs, not as spectators, but as reluctant time travelers. We'll discover why today's humans would be hopelessly outmatched by the challenges of the Mesozoic era, from lethal predators and toxic plants to the very air itself. We'll find out what life was really like for mammals and our distant relatives during this unimaginable age. And by the end, you'll have a whole new appreciation for the razor-thin margin between extinction and survival. If you're fascinated by dinosaurs, obsessed with evolution, or just love asking, what if? Hit that subscribe button and get ready for a journey through deep time. Let's set the stage. Imagine you materialize in the late Cretaceous, the golden age of dinosaurs. The landscape is at once alien and familiar. Towering ferns, conifer forests, giant flowering plants. But as your senses adjust, the first thing you notice is the smell, a sharp, raw, earthy odor, laced with the musk of countless reptiles and the stench of decay. Insects the size of your palm buzz and whine in the humid air. The sky is darker, thanks to volcanic ash and a sun lower in the sky than you're used. And then, of course, there's the sound. Not birdsong, but a cacophony of hoots, bellows, hisses, and thunderous footfalls. The world is alive with movement. Herds of hadrosaurs crashing through the undergrowth, triceratops locking horns, packs of dromaeosaurs on the hunt. Everywhere danger lurks. Even the plants could kill you. Giant cycads, ferns, and conifers bristle with toxins your digestive system has never met. Take a bite of the wrong leaf, and you could be paralyzed or dead in minutes. But that's only the start. The air is thick and damp, laden with spores and pollen from plants long extinct. You struggle to breathe, your lungs fighting an atmosphere that's higher in oxygen and carbon dioxide than modern air. Your immune system, trained on the relatively gentle pathogens of the 21st century, is suddenly exposed to bacteria and viruses with no modern analog. One scratch or insect bite could mean fever and death. Even the water could be lethal, crawling with parasites and strange microbe. Let's talk about your senses. In the world of dinosaurs, your eyesight and hearing would be a liability. Many predators, like Tyrannosaurus rex, had extraordinary vision, especially motion detection, and could see in lower light than you can. Their sense of smell was legendary. As for camouflage, forget it. Your modern clothing and skin tones would stand out like a neon sign among the greens and browns of the prehistoric jungle. Now consider the predators themselves. If you think you could outrun or outsmart a dinosaur, think again. Many theropods were built for speed, endurance, and stealth. Raptors hunted in packs with sickle-shaped claws, communicating with chirps and gestures. Giant crocodilians and aquatic reptiles lurked in every river and swamp, ready to strike from below. There was nowhere to hide, no place truly safe. You'd also be deafened by the soundscape. Dinosaurs communicated with deep, resonant bellows, low-frequency rumbles, and subsonic calls that could travel for miles. Your ears, tuned for human voices and bird calls, would struggle to process these alien noises. Stress and fear would overwhelm your nervous system in moments. But here's the twist. Despite all these dangers, mammals did survive, and even thrive, in the world of dinosaurs. How? The answer is a story of evolution, adaptation, and sheer luck. Our ancestors were tiny, shrew-like creatures, nocturnal for millions of years. They developed senses and strategies perfectly tuned to the age of giants. While dinosaurs ruled the day, early mammals owned the night, relying on stealth, agility, and burrowing to avoid detection. Let's rewind and meet some of these unsung heroes. Imagine a little mammal called Repenomamus, about the size of a badger, brave enough to steal dinosaur eggs and even hunt baby dinos. Or the multituberculates, sometimes called the rodents of the Mesozoic, with chisel-like teeth and a knack for survival. Their secret was not size or strength, but flexibility, eating whatever they could find, hiding in burrows, climbing trees, and staying just out of reach. But it wasn't just mammals that beat the odds. Crocodiliforms, turtles, lizards, and even birds, all with ancestors that lived alongside dinosaurs, used similar tricks. Survival in the Mesozoic was about one thing: adaptation. If you couldn't adapt, you vanished. Now let's consider how our own bodies would betray us. Start with temperature. Dinosaurs lived in a world that was, on average, much warmer than ours. The poles were ice-free, and tropical storms raged across supercontinents. You, with your thin skin and sweat glands, would overheat in minutes. Dehydration would set in quickly, and finding safe drinking water would be nearly impossible. You might think of building a shelter, but the plants and woods around you are unlike anything you've seen. Many are covered in spines, sap, or toxins. Fire? Forget it. The humidity and green wood make it almost impossible without modern tools. You are alone, unarmed, and unprepared. And if you did manage to survive the first hour, the challenges would only multiply. Disease, predators, and hunger would be constant threats. Your best hope? To hide, stay silent, and hope not to be noticed. But our ancestors did more than hide. They innovated. The development of hair, endothermy, warm-bloodedness, and live birth gave early mammals an edge. They could regulate their temperature, keep their young safe in burrows, and exploit ecological niches ignored by dinosaurs. Nocturnality became their shield, letting them hunt and forage while the giants slept. Why couldn't you do the same? The answer is simple: evolution. Every trait that made our ancestors successful, tiny size, acute hearing and smell, fast reproduction, was honed over millions of years. You have none of those advantages. You're a stranger in a strange land, with instincts and senses tuned for a world long gone. In the next segment, we'll dive deeper into the deadly specifics: how the world's biggest predators hunted, what plants could kill you, and how even the tiniest creatures could spell your doom. We'll also uncover more secrets of survival from the fossil record and ask the big question: could anything we do today prepare us for the ultimate trip to the age of dinosaurs? Stay tuned. The adventure is just beginning. If you woke up in the world of dinosaurs, your doom would not be slow, it would be immediate and relentless. Let's walk through just a few of the threats that would turn your 1-second survival challenge into a 0-second tragedy. The first, and most obvious, is predation. Dinosaurs were not just big, they were fast, cunning, and evolutionarily tuned for hunting and killing. The likes of Tyrannosaurus rex, Allosaurus, and Giganotosaurus could run faster than you, bite harder than any living animal, and track you with senses far sharper than any modern predator. You would be prey, not apex. Consider the world from a raptor's perspective. Velociraptors were small but terrifyingly agile. They hunted in packs, communicated with high-frequency chirps, and used coordinated tactics to flush out prey from hiding. Even if you tried to climb a tree, many raptors could scramble up after you. And if you managed to hide, their sense of smell and vision would betray your presence. The only creatures who escaped were those too small or too clever to be noticed, like our shrew-sized ancestors. Now imagine a herd of herbivorous dinosaurs, each as dangerous as the predators in their own way. A triceratops could weigh more than a car, with horns strong enough to impale any attacker. Ankylosaurs were living tanks, with armored bodies and clubbed tails that could shatter bones. Hadrosaurs moved in tight formation, relying on numbers and warning calls to evade predators. You, a lone human, would be instantly singled out as an intruder. No herd would accept you, and any sudden movement would set off a stampede or a defensive charge. Plants, too, were an overlooked hazard. Many species evolved toxins to deter the giant herbivores. Eating a few leaves from a cycad or benedictale could send you into convulsions or paralysis. Even brushing against the sap of some conifers might cause blisters or allergic shock. Our bodies, adapted to modern plants, have no immunity or defenses against these prehistoric poisons. For ancient mammals, survival depended on careful trial and error over generations, learning what was edible, what was deadly, and passing that knowledge down. Unlike us, who rely on food safety labels and cooking, they evolved specialized enzymes in their saliva and livers, subtle color vision to spot toxins, and behavioral instincts to avoid the most dangerous plants. And then there were the insects. In the Mesozoic, dragonflies with wingspans over 2 feet darted through the muggy air. Parasitic wasps, blood-sucking flies, and primitive mosquitoes swarmed in numbers modern people can hardly imagine. Their bites would be more than a nuisance. Many carried pathogens or venom, and any break in your skin could become a death sentence thanks to unknown bacteria. Mammals evolved thick fur and burrowing habits partly as protection from these relentless attackers. Water posed its own threat. Every stream or pond could hide massive amphibians, ancient turtles, or even hungry fish like Xiphactinus, 6 feet long, all teeth and attitude. Crossing a river could mean being dragged under by a phytosaur or attacked by a school of predatory fish. Drinking unfiltered water would guarantee exposure to unknown parasites and microbes. Our ancestors learned to sniff, scratch, and filter their way to survival. Instincts bred into them over millions of years. But perhaps the greatest challenge was the climate. The Mesozoic was a world of extremes. Temperatures soared higher than any modern human is comfortable with. Humidity could be stifling, storms violent and unpredictable. The poles were lush and wet, the tropics a chaotic swirl of superstorms and seasonal drought. Flash floods and wildfires were common, driven by the volatile mix of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the air. Mammals survived by hiding in burrows, nesting underground, or moving swiftly from shelter to shelter, guided by senses and instincts we no longer possess. Add to this the relentless pace of evolution. In the world of dinosaurs, nothing stood still. New species emerged and vanished every few million years. Entire families of animals would rise, dominate, and go extinct, swept away by changing climates, shifting continents, or mass extinction events triggered by volcanoes, asteroids, or sea level changes. Survival was a lottery, and adaptability was the only constant. And yet, in this world of giants, smallness was a superpower. Our mammalian ancestors, tiny, secretive, and hyper-aware, avoided extinction by being quick, quiet, and clever. They nursed their young, lived in family groups, and exploited every ecological niche dinosaurs ignored. Some could glide from tree to tree, some could dig, and many had acute senses of hearing and smell, giving them early warnings of danger. These adaptations, tested through endless trials, allowed them to flourish in the shadows and survive where larger, slower creatures perished. In the next segment, we'll peer into the fossil record, following the clues left behind in ancient bones, burrows, and footprints. We'll meet the survivors and the fallen, and learn just how close our ancestors came to vanishing forever. If you think your odds are bad, just wait until you see how fate played dice with life itself in the age of dinosaurs. Stay with us. The struggle for survival is just getting started. If you want to understand how precarious survival was in the age of dinosaurs, you need to look beneath the bones and teeth of the giants. The fossil record is like a shattered diary, full of hints and warnings. There are skeletons frozen in battle, tiny footprints lost beneath the tracks of giants, burrows turned to stone, and delicate impressions of fur, feathers, and scales. Every fossil is a message from a world where extinction was a daily threat, and survival was an act of genius, luck, and timing. The world of the Mesozoic was a battleground. Mass extinctions swept across continents, erasing entire families of animals. Giant volcanic eruptions turned skies black for months. Oceans rose and fell, swallowing forests and exposing the land to new invaders. Through it all, small mammals, lizards, turtles, and the ancestors of birds clawed out a living in the shadows, always just one step away from oblivion. There is a reason you don't find many fossils of mammals from this time. They lived secret lives. They hid from predators and scavenged what they could, leaving only rare traces in ancient riverbanks or forest floors. Some fossils show the preserved contents of stomachs, mammal bones inside dinosaur rib cages, or lizard remains found inside tiny mammal jaws. It's a brutal reminder that almost every creature was both hunter and hunted. But fossils reveal more than violence. They show cooperation and care. Scientists have found evidence of mammals burrowing together for warmth, caring for their young, and perhaps even warning one another of danger. There are fossilized family groups and preserved burrow systems deep below layers of ancient ash. These tiny social creatures survived by working together in the face of overwhelming odds. Sometimes, the fossil record reads like a disaster story. One famous find, known as the fighting dinosaurs, shows a velociraptor and protoceratops locked in mortal combat, buried alive by a sandstorm. Other fossils preserve dinosaur eggs raided by mammals, or predators caught in tar pits while chasing prey. Survival was rarely a clean victory. It was often messy, desperate, and random. For mammals, success was all about adaptability. Some species became expert diggers, tunneling into the earth to avoid temperature extremes and the gaze of predators. Others developed gliding membranes, soaring between trees to snatch insects and escape danger. Some even learned to eat what others ignored: hard seeds, roots, or the occasional dino egg. These innovations, visible in their fossilized bones and teeth, hint at the flexible, inventive minds that would eventually give rise to humans. Yet, the threat of extinction loomed constantly. Paleontologists have identified at least 5 major extinction events during the Mesozoic. Each wiped out huge swaths of life, reshuffling the balance of power. Sometimes it was volcanic winter, sometimes an asteroid, sometimes slow poison from changing air and water. Mammals, by virtue of their size, flexibility, and stealth, survived what the giants could not. Still, there were close calls. Some lineages vanished forever, leaving no descendants. Others came within a handful of individuals of being lost to time. The fossil record is full of ghost lineages, branches of the evolutionary tree that teetered on the edge before finally rebounding. If just one more disaster had struck, or if a single predator had been more successful, the story of mammals, and of us, could have ended before it began. The tension in these ancient dramas is almost palpable. Every fossil tells a story of near misses and lucky escapes, of creatures adapting just enough, just in time, to avoid disaster. In many ways, our very existence is the result of countless generations of survivors, each one dodging extinction by the slimmest margin. But there's another side to the story. The age of dinosaurs wasn't only a world of terror and loss. It was also an age of spectacular diversity and innovation. Early mammals gave rise to forms that would become bats, whales, primates, and ultimately, humans. Even in the darkest times, evolution was busy experimenting, branching out, and preparing for the opportunities that would come after the giants fell. In the next segment, we'll explore the hidden weapons and strategies that mammals and their allies used to stay alive, from biological tricks to secret behaviors. We'll discover how some creatures turned weakness into strength, and how the lessons of deep time might help us survive in our own dangerous world. Stay curious. The struggle for survival is far from over. Surviving in the age of dinosaurs wasn't just about dodging teeth and claws. It was about mastering a toolbox of secret skills and biological advantages that let some lineages slip through the cracks of extinction again and again. The story of our ancestors is, at its core, a masterclass in creative adaptation, one where apparent weakness could become the ultimate evolutionary weapon. Many mammals of the Mesozoic weren't big or strong, but they were clever, resourceful, and astonishingly resilient. When dinosaurs thundered above, mammals hugged the shadows, foraging at night when the risk was lowest. Their large eyes, sensitive noses, and whiskers turned darkness into an ally. Tiny, sharp claws and prehensile paws let them climb, dig, and nest where predators couldn't follow. Warm-bloodedness, endothermy, was a hidden superpower. Mammals could be active even when the temperature dropped or storms swept across the land, while most reptiles had to slow down. The ability to regulate body heat and huddle for warmth kept family groups alive through cold snaps, volcanic winters, and unpredictable weather. Perhaps the greatest trick of all was parental care. Unlike dinosaurs, who mostly laid eggs and left their young to fend for themselves, mammals gave birth to live offspring and protected them for weeks or months. Mothers nursed their babies in underground burrows or leafy nests, teaching them by example and keeping them safe from dangers above. This investment in fewer, better protected young meant more survived, even when catastrophe struck. The fossil record offers vivid snapshots. Tiny skeletons curled together in burrows, teeth marks on eggshells hinting at risky nighttime raids, delicate ear bones showing how hearing evolved for stealth and communication. Some mammals, like the docodonts, developed molars perfect for crushing tough plants or insects. Others, like early therians, experimented with longer gestation and more complex brains. Camouflage was essential. Soft fur absorbed sound and scattered scent. Color patterns blended into leaf litter or forest shadows. Some mammals mimicked the textures of bark or rock. This evolutionary arms race between hunter and hunted spurred creativity on both sides. Dinosaurs developed sharper senses. Mammals got sneakier and more subtle. Behavior mattered too. Many early mammals were social, warning each other with high-pitched squeaks or drumming feet. In times of danger, entire groups could vanish into a warren of tunnels or a tangle of roots, foiling even the sharpest-eyed predator. Fossilized footprints reveal the tight-knit movements of family groups, moving as one through the ancient forests. Still, not every adaptation worked. Some experiments vanished as quickly as they appeared: gliding limbs, armored scales, or venomous bites. The fossil record is a graveyard of evolutionary dead ends, but every failed experiment paved the way for future success. As environments shifted and new dangers emerged, flexibility was the key. When volcanic ash choked the skies, mammals switched diets or shifted ranges. When new predators evolved, they changed their hiding spots or nesting habits. This relentless ability to pivot, to innovate, and to learn was the difference between extinction and endurance. The same lesson plays out in modern nature. Today's shrews, moles, and tree dwellers echo the behaviors of their ancient relatives. The instincts that let mammals outlast dinosaurs are still at work in the wild places of our world. Everywhere survival hangs on a thread. But for all this adaptation, luck was still a factor. The tiniest change, a shift in weather, a new disease, a rogue asteroid, could wipe out even the most successful lineage. The story of survival in the dinosaur era is a reminder that evolution favors not just the strong or the smart, but also the flexible, the fast, and sometimes the plain lucky. In the next segment, we'll take a detour to meet the other survivors: crocodiles, turtles, and the earliest birds, each with their own set of remarkable strategies. We'll ask why some groups flourished while others faded, and how the echoes of these ancient adaptations still shape the animal kingdom today. The deeper we look, the more we realize that the world of dinosaurs was never just about giants. It was a stage for countless small victories and silent survivors. When you look at the creatures that have endured from the age of dinosaurs to today, you realize that survival took many forms. Some of the most ancient survivors didn't look anything like mammals at all, yet their stories are just as dramatic, their adaptations just as profound. Crocodiles, turtles, and the earliest birds are the other great champions of the Mesozoic, each with their own evolutionary strategies for outlasting disaster. Let's start with the crocodilians. While the dinosaurs were experimenting with every imaginable size and shape, the ancestors of crocodiles found a winning formula and stuck with it. They evolved tough, armored hides, jaws packed with conical teeth, and a semi-aquatic lifestyle that let them slip between worlds, part predator, part ambush artist. Their cold-blooded metabolism let them survive on little food for long periods, and they could disappear into the mud during droughts or hide underwater from fire and flood. Some ancient crocs grew larger than buses, hunting dinosaurs at riverbanks and lakesides. But most were patient, silent, and opportunistic, waiting for just the right moment to strike. Turtles, too, are relics of a lost age. Their shells, made from fused ribs and backbones, protected them from all but the most determined predators. Some ancient turtles grew as large as cars, drifting in warm Cretaceous seas or hauling themselves onto fern-choked riverbanks. Like crocodiles, turtles could retreat into their shells and wait out danger, surviving disasters that wiped out more active or specialized animals. Even when mass extinction swept away the giants, turtles tucked in and waited for the world to settle down again. They are living reminders that sometimes, slow and steady, really does win the race. But perhaps the most spectacular transformation was the evolution of birds from small, feathered dinosaurs. These early avians were masters of escape and adaptation. Wings that began as displays or for balance during running gradually became tools for flight. Feathers offered insulation as well as camouflage, letting birds radiate into new niches when climates shifted or forests burned. Fossils show a dazzling variety of shapes, some with long, toothy jaws, others with clawed wings, all experimenting with different lifestyles in a world of giants. The line between dinosaur and bird was blurred for millions of years. Today's robins and crows are living echoes of these ancient survivors. Birds brought a new kind of survival: mobility. They could migrate when times grew hard, flying to new continents, new climates, or even new islands. They nested in trees or cliffs, above the reach of ground-based predators. Some species became insectivores, others ate seeds, fish, or fruit. This flexibility and ability to move quickly let them escape many of the fates that doomed their cousins. Some birds survived the very impact that ended the age of dinosaurs, hiding in burrows or forests, while others perished in the fires and darkness that followed. What about the losers? Many of the Mesozoic's strangest creatures vanished without leaving descendants. Marine reptiles like ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs, giant flying pterosaurs, and armored dinosaurs like the stegosaurs all disappeared as climates changed, seas rose and fell, or new predators took over. For every winner, there were dozens of experiments that failed, each extinction an echo in the evolutionary record. The odds were brutal, and even the best adapted could fall victim to sheer bad luck. Why did crocodiles, turtles, and birds make it when others didn't? Part of the answer lies in their versatility. Each could eat a variety of foods, survive in many environments, and reproduce in ways that protected their young. They could hibernate, migrate, or shelter from disaster. And when the world changed, whether through volcanoes, meteor strikes, or shifting continents, they adapted or moved, while more specialized species perished. The fossil record is filled with dramatic evidence of survival against the odds. In China, paleontologists have found exquisitely preserved fossils of feathered dinosaurs and early birds, frozen in volcanic ash with their last meals still in their bellies. In Mongolia, eggs and nests show how some species cared for their young, while others relied on sheer numbers to overwhelm predators. Ancient turtle shells, battered and scarred, tell tales of battles with hungry theropods. Crocodile teeth embedded in dinosaur bone reveal that these living fossils were not passive bystanders. They were active players in the struggle for dominance. Perhaps most fascinating of all are the signs of innovation and change. Some crocodiles evolved to chase fish in open water, others took to the land, running on long legs to chase prey. Turtles adapted to salty seas, brackish swamps, and arid deserts. Birds experimented with every imaginable lifestyle: diving, soaring, wading, singing. The survivors were those who tried something new and succeeded, even if just barely. In the next segment, we'll turn our attention back to mammals. The age of dinosaurs was ending, but the real test was yet to come. We'll see how our tiny ancestors faced the ultimate crisis: the day the sky fell, the world caught fire, and the greatest extinction in Earth's history reshaped the fate of life forever. The greatest story of survival is about to reach its climax. It's the end of the Cretaceous period, and the world is about to change forever. Imagine the sky darkening not with the wings of pterosaurs, but with the fallout from a catastrophe unlike any in Earth's history. For millions of years, dinosaurs ruled a world of lush forests, steamy swamps, and endless plains. But now, their era is about to end in fire and darkness, and the greatest survival test of all time is about to begin. The warning signs come slowly at first: strange weather, shifting seasons, and volcanic eruptions that paint the sky with ash. Animals sense something is wrong. The rhythm of life, migration, nesting, hatching, falters. Mammals hunker down in burrows, birds grow restless, and the great herds of dinosaurs wander in confusion as plants wither and die. Far above, unseen and unimaginable, a chunk of rock the size of a mountain hurtles toward Earth at tens of thousands of miles per hour. When the impact comes, it's beyond comprehension. A flash brighter than a million suns. A wall of fire sweeps across the land. Winds roar at hurricane speeds, and shockwaves flatten forests for hundreds of miles. Then comes the rain, a deluge of molten rock and acid, falling from a sky gone mad. The impact triggers earthquakes and tsunamis, while wildfires rage on every continent. Day turns to night as dust and ash block out the sun for months or even years. In this world of chaos, survival is a matter of luck, preparation, and the right adaptations. The mighty dinosaurs, who once seemed invincible, are suddenly at the mercy of a world turned upside down. The plants they depended on vanish, and without food, the great herbivores weaken and die. The predators, left with nothing to hunt, follow soon after. One by one, the giants fall, but not everything dies. In the cracks and shadows, small creatures endure. Mammals, with their burrows and nests, are insulated from the worst of the disaster. Some can hibernate or enter torpor, slowing their bodies to conserve energy. Others eat anything they can find: roots, seeds, insects, carrion, whatever will keep them alive as the world burns and freezes above. The fossil record tells a harrowing tale of loss and survival. More than 3/4 of all species vanish in the aftermath of the impact, victims of starvation, cold, and toxic air. But in the darkest hours, mammals find a way through. Their small size, warm blood, and ability to care for their young prove to be the ultimate trump cards. While the world above is unrecognizable, life underground, in hollows and cracks, continues. As the years pass, the earth slowly heals. The skies clear, plants return, and new niches open up everywhere. With the giants gone, mammals explode into these empty spaces, evolving into forms that will one day become elephants, whales, bats, and primates. The age of dinosaurs is over, and the age of mammals has begun. But the lessons of that terrible night never leave the survivors. Every mammal alive today, including us, carries the legacy of that ancient catastrophe. Our instincts for caution, our ability to adapt, and our drive to protect our young are all gifts from ancestors who survived the end of the world. The rise of mammals is not just a story of luck, it's a testament to resilience and ingenuity. Within a few million years, mammals diversify at a breathtaking pace. Some grow larger, others become more social, and brains expand as creatures explore new ways of living and surviving. For the first time, creatures with the seeds of intelligence, problem-solving, memory, communication, begin to reshape their environment, not just respond to it. Yet the world they inherit is forever changed. The landscapes are new, the climate still volatile, and predators, while smaller, remain fierce. Mammals learn to cooperate, forming packs and herds, inventing new ways to hunt and avoid being hunted. They spread across continents, filling every corner of the globe, from deserts to rainforests to frozen tundra. Still, the memory of extinction never fades. Every generation faces its own dangers: disease, famine, new predators, and the unpredictable fury of nature. The story of survival is ongoing, a race with no finish line. Our ancestors learned to expect the unexpected, to adapt faster than fate could catch them. That drive, honed in the age of dinosaurs, still pulses in us today. As we leave the world of the dinosaurs behind, one thing becomes clear: survival is never guaranteed. It's a dance of luck, skill, and timing. For every lineage that flourishes, countless others vanish, their stories lost to time. But for those that persist, each day is a new beginning. In the next segment, we'll follow the mammals as they rise to new heights, facing challenges and opportunities in a world where anything is possible. We'll see how evolution accelerates, intelligence blossoms, and the seeds of humanity are sown in the ashes of extinction. The story is far from over. The greatest adventures are yet to come. The Paleogene dawn was not quiet. In the centuries after the extinction, the world was wild and unstable. Forests grew thick over the ashes of the old world. Rivers changed course as glaciers receded, and the land itself heaved and cracked in the restless aftermath. Mammals, once tiny survivors, became the new experimenters of evolution. Freed from the constant threat of dinosaur predation, they began to try every possible form and lifestyle. In every corner of the recovering Earth, new mammalian lineages. At first, these mammals were small, squirrel-like, shrew-like, or vaguely opossum-shaped. They scurried through leaf litter and hid in low branches, foraging by day or night as needed. The world was full of hazards. Giant birds called terror birds hunted across plains, while monstrous snakes, crocodilians, and early carnivorous mammals battled for dominance. Every ecological gap left by the dinosaurs quickly filled with new life, and the tempo of evolution accelerated. Some mammals grew larger, taking on the roles of grazers, browsers, and root diggers. Others became specialists, returning to the water and evolving into the earliest ancestors of whales and sea cows. The first bats appeared, gliding between the trees on thin, leathery wings. Rodents multiplied rapidly, their sharp teeth and rapid breeding turning them into one of the most successful groups on the planet. Early primates, our own ancestors, were adapting too, climbing higher, seeing further, and learning to end. The changing climate pushed life to invent. Temperatures soared and dipped, forests gave way to open woodlands, then closed again in cycles. Mammals evolved new ways to regulate their temperature, to shed or grow fur, to store fat for lean times. Some, like the ancestors of elephants, grew bigger and bigger, taking advantage of new plant growth and fewer predators. Others became faster, or learned to live together in herds for safety. Cooperation was key. Mammals began to show more complex behaviors, caring for young longer, living in groups, even sharing food and warning calls. These social ties became a new evolutionary weapon. Early canids hunted together. Hoofed animals banded together for migration. For primates, the bonds of family and tribe became as important as sharp claws or keen senses. Meanwhile, the world around them was still shifting. Volcanoes erupted, continents drifted, and meteor impacts still peppered the Earth, though never on the scale of the Cretaceous event. Each disturbance was a test, a bottleneck that weeded out the unfit and favored those who could adapt, migrate, or cooperate. The fossil record from this time is a patchwork of breakthroughs and near misses. Some lineages, like creodonts and entelodonts, rose to terrifying prominence, only to vanish in the next wave of change. Others, like horses, rhinos, and rodents, proved more adaptable and endured through the ages. Our own primate ancestors moved from simple tree dwellers to more advanced forms, slowly inching toward greater intelligence. Intelligence itself was becoming a survival trait. Early primates evolved larger brains, capable of memory, planning, and even simple tool use. Hands became more dexterous, eyes more forward-facing. These abilities let them solve new problems, adapt to novel foods, and begin the slow march toward what would become humanity. Throughout this time, danger never faded. The earth trembled, forests burned, new diseases swept through populations, and always, extinction hovered near. But the mammals that survived were the ones that could learn, change, and work together. By the end of the Paleogene, The stage was set for an explosion of life and diversity. Mammals now ruled the world, and the possibilities were endless. In the next segment, we'll follow the incredible journey from early primates to the first humans, through ice ages, migrations, and the relentless testing ground of evolution. Stay with us, because the most human chapter of this saga is about to begin. From the moment the Earth began to heal after the Great Extinction, life surged forward with new energy. The story of survival now shifted from simply staying alive to conquering new worlds, on land, in the trees, and eventually across continents and oceans. The mammals, emboldened by their past trials, began to grow in size, intelligence, and diversity, turning a shattered world into a laboratory of evolution. The dawn of the Miocene epoch brought dramatic changes. Forests sprawled across entire continents, then retreated as the planet cooled and grasslands took over. These new environments challenged mammals in every way. Grazers evolved long legs and complex stomachs to handle tough, fibrous plants. Predators grew faster and smarter to chase the new herds. Some mammals took to the water, becoming the ancestors of seals, sea lions, and otters. Others soared into the sky, not as birds, but as bats, using ecol. But the most remarkable story was happening in the trees. Primates, our distant relatives, thrived in the canopy. With hands that could grip and rotate, eyes that saw in 3 dimensions, and brains that were always hungry for novelty, these creatures began to explore new ways of life. The ability to swing, leap, and climb allowed them to outmaneuver many predators, and group living made it easier to watch for danger, find food, and care for young. Intelligence flourished in this arms race. Primates learned to use tools, sticks to dig for insects, leaves for drinking water, stones to crack open nuts. They watched and imitated one another, passing knowledge down through generations. Communication became more complex, with a growing vocabulary of calls, gestures, and even facial expressions. Family groups grew larger and more organized, with hierarchies, alliances, and a deepening sense of community. This burst of intelligence was no accident. In a world full of hazards and opportunities, brains were as useful as claws or teeth. Primates that could solve problems, remember locations, or work together had a better shot at survival. Over millions of years, natural selection favored bigger brains, nimbler fingers, and keener senses. In Africa and Asia, lineages split. Some remained in the trees, while others ventured onto the ground, adapting to new foods and dangers. Climate change was a relentless driver. As ice ages came and went, forests shrank and grasslands spread. Early hominids, our ancient ancestors, were forced to adapt again. Walking upright freed their hands for carrying food and tools and opened up new vistas for exploration. The journey from tree-dwelling primate to bipedal walker was a gamble, but it paid off. Those who adapted not only survived, they began to dominate. The fossil record shows this transformation in exquisite detail. Skulls that grew larger, teeth that changed shape, bones that reveal both strength and flexibility. Tools appear beside ancient campfires. Traces of pigments hint at the first art. Our ancestors hunted in groups, shared food, and defended each other from predators. Social bonds grew stronger, language began to emerge, and the seeds of culture were sown. The challenges never ceased. Droughts, volcanic eruptions, and the arrival of new predators tested every innovation. Some lineages vanished, others split and radiated out across the continents. The history of early humans is a tale of migration, resilience, and ingenuity, always searching for a new edge, a safer home, or a better way to survive. But even as our ancestors advanced, they never escaped the legacy of their evolutionary past. The instincts honed in the age of dinosaurs, the drive to hide, adapt, cooperate, remained embedded in their bones and brains. Every triumph was built on a foundation of ancient lessons. As the Pleistocene dawned, our ancestors faced their greatest test yet, surviving side by side with giants like mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and enormous ground sloths. The struggle for existence reached new heights as climate swung wildly and food supplies vanished in the blink of an eye. Survival depended on everything they had learned: ingenuity, teamwork, and the ability to outthink every threat. The journey from the age of dinosaurs to the age of humans was not a straight line, but a saga of constant change, trial, and adaptation. Every step forward was paid for in sweat, struggle, and sometimes sacrifice. In the next segment, we'll follow the final steps in this epic journey: how our species, Homo sapiens, emerged from the shadows to become the planet's most adaptable, creative, and resilient survivor. We'll see how the echoes of the dinosaur age still shape our instincts, fears, and dreams today. The adventure continues, because our story and the legacy of survival is far from finished. So how did these early humans gain the upper hand in a world still crowded with ancient dangers and new, formidable competitors? The answer is a blend of resourcefulness, adaptability, and a relentless drive to innovate. Stone tools became more sophisticated, evolving from simple flakes to carefully shaped axes and spear points. Mastery of fire provided warmth, protection, and the means to cook food, unlocking new nutrients and expanding diets. Groups gathered around the hearth, sharing stories, plan. Migration was crucial. As ice ages advanced and retreated, bands of humans followed the herds and sought out fertile valleys, crossing land bridges and braving new climates. Each migration was a leap into the unknown, demanding the skills to adapt quickly to new predators, plants, and diseases. Some groups perished, but those who survived passed on their hard-won knowledge: how to hunt mammoth, which berries to eat, how to make clothing from hides and shelters from bone and wood. With each generation, cultural memory deepened. Artifacts buried in ancient caves show not just survival, but creativity and imagination. Paintings of bison and horses, carvings of animals and spirits, and jewelry made from shells or ivory. Rituals and beliefs began to take shape, binding communities together and offering comfort in the face of the wild, unpredictable world. Language, too, blossomed in this crucible. The need to cooperate on hunts, warn of danger, and share stories favored those who could communicate with greater subtlety and nuance. Language became the ultimate tool, allowing humans to plan, dream, and remember as no animal had before. Knowledge could now leap across generations, building on itself in a way that evolution alone could never achieve. Yet for all their advancements, early humans remained vulnerable. They were not the largest, fastest, or strongest creatures in their environment. Even with weapons and fire, a single mistake, a misjudged hunt, an encounter with a saber-tooth or a rival band, could mean disaster. Survival still depended on group cohesion, quick wits, and a healthy respect for the power of nature. Over thousands of years, these challenges forged a species uniquely suited to adaptation. Our ancestors tamed wild landscapes, domesticated animals, and slowly began to shape the environment to suit their needs. The journey from prey to predator, from scattered bands to the dawn of civilization, was slow and often perilous, but every step carried the mark of lessons learned in the shadow of dinosaurs and other ancient threats. Today, echoes of those struggles remain. The fear of the dark, the thrill of the hunt, the need to belong to a group. These are all gifts from our deep evolutionary past. Our bodies and minds still carry the imprints of ancient survival games, ready to be called upon when the world changes once again. In the next and final segment, we'll tie together these threads, examining what it truly means to be a survivor in the grand story of life. The saga that began in the age of dinosaurs leads directly to us, a reminder that every moment of safety and comfort is built on a foundation of unimaginable struggle, chance, and the will to adapt. Our journey is nearly complete, but the adventure of life continues, forever shaped by the echoes of the distant past. The story of human survival is a tapestry woven from countless threads: instinct, innovation, community, and memory. As Homo sapiens spread across the globe, each new landscape brought a new set of challenges. From the icy mammoth steppes of Eurasia to the steamy jungles of Southeast Asia, every environment demanded fresh solutions, daring adaptations, and the courage to face the unknown. Our ancestors encountered beasts that defy imagination, towering mammoths and mastodons, cave lions and dire wolves, massive flightless birds and armored glyptodons. Some groups learned to fish the rivers, others stalked reindeer across endless tundra. Survival was a constant negotiation with the land, the climate, and the creatures that shared it. Some tribes learned to make canoes and nets, to farm yams and millet, to build shelters from bone and antler when no trees were to be found. But for all their differences, these scattered groups shared the same fundamental strengths. They were curious, collaborative, and endlessly inventive. Art and language flourished side by side with the hand axe and the spear. Rituals and myths gave meaning to the mysteries of life and death, forging a sense of belonging that no hardship could destroy. As humans adapted, they began to change the world around them. Controlled fire reshaped landscapes, encouraging new growth and driving game into open spaces. Selective hunting and early forms of animal domestication shifted the balance of power on the plains. With every innovation, the distance between human and animal widened, but the echoes of the deep past remained. Our instincts for fear, for caution, for community and celebration, all trace their roots back to days when every shadow might hide a threat. Disaster still struck. Volcanoes blotted out the sun, floods and droughts upended entire peoples, and disease could sweep through a population in a matter of days. Yet the survivors always found new paths, new foods, new medicines, new alliances. The ancient lessons learned in the shadow of dinosaurs, in the desperate days after the asteroid, served humanity well as the first great civilizations began to rise. From hunter-gatherer bands to the earliest cities, the core of survival never changed. The drive to protect children, to share knowledge, to innovate in the face of adversity. These were the gifts passed down from ancestors who had outlasted monsters and cataclysm alike. The story of the human journey is not a straight line but a spiral, each generation circling back to the wisdom of the past, then pushing forward into new territory. Today, in our age of cities, satellites, and digital wonders, it's easy to forget that every comfort was purchased at a staggering price. Every invention, every work of art, every dream for a better tomorrow stands atop the shoulders of those who survived storms and monsters, famine and fire. The blood that runs through us remembers the terror of the night, the relief of dawn, the joy of finding shelter or sharing a meal. As we approach the end of this journey, remember, the saga of survival is never truly over. New challenges will always arise. Climate change, pandemics, conflicts, and migrations. What carried us through the age of dinosaurs, through extinction and rebirth, still carries us today. The will to adapt, to cooperate, and to never stop learning. In our final segment, we'll reflect on what the great saga of life teaches us about resilience, courage, and the bonds that tie all living things together. The world of dinosaurs may be gone, but its lessons are alive in each of us, an inheritance of strength and wonder. The adventure is nearly complete, but the story of survival will never end. As our journey through time comes to a close, we look back in awe at the chain of unlikely events, chance adaptations, and raw determination that allowed our ancestors, and us, to stand here today. The world of the dinosaurs was an arena of unimaginable peril, a crucible that tested every living thing to the limit. Few survived, and fewer still went on to change the world. What makes our story remarkable is not just that humans eventually conquered the planet, but that the path was so narrow, so fragile, so often balanced on the edge of disaster. If a single asteroid had struck a few hours later, or a mammal lineage had failed to dig a burrow deep enough, or a group had not learned to cooperate when disaster struck, none of what we know would exist. The more we uncover about the past, the clearer it becomes that life's continuity is not destiny, but the sum of a million improv. Every struggle faced by our distant ancestors shaped what it means to be human. The urge to explore, to gather in groups, to protect and nurture, to dream of a better tomorrow. These are the ancient tools honed in the shadow of giants. The instincts that once kept us alive in the darkness now fuel our sciences, our art, our empathy, and our search for meaning. We still carry within us the reflexes of the hunted, a startle at sudden movement, a fear of heights, a rush of adrenaline in the face of the unknown. These are not weaknesses, but strengths, reminders of how close our story came to ending so many times before it truly began. They are the reason we adapt to hardship, rally in crisis, and never give up. What lessons should we take from this journey? First, that survival is not about strength alone. The greatest survivors, be they tiny mammals, slow-moving turtles, or our own ancestors, were not always the fastest or the fiercest, but the ones who learned, cooperated, and remained flexible in the face of a changing world. Second, that every comfort and certainty is temporary. The world can change in an instant, and those who endure are the ones who anticipate, improvise, and help one another. Above all, our deep history is a call to humility and gratitude. We are not apart from nature, but the latest in a long, unbroken chain of survivors. Our challenges, climate change, pandemics, conflict, may look different from asteroid impacts or saber-toothed cats, but the answers are often the same. Innovation, unity, and respect for the web of life that sustains us. The world of the dinosaurs has vanished, but its lessons remain written in our DNA and in the earth beneath our feet. Every fossil is a testament to courage and chance, every landscape a palimpsest of ancient lives. To remember where we come from is to honor those who came before, and to see ourselves as both fragile and fierce, vulnerable yet full of possibility. So, as you go forward into your own challenges and adventures, remember, you are the heir to 1 billion years of victories, large and small. You would not last a second in the world of dinosaurs, but you are here because those who came before you did. Thank you for traveling through deep time with us. If you found wonder or wisdom in this journey, share your thoughts below. What lesson from the past do you carry into your future? Like, subscribe, and join us for more adventures through the story of life. The tale is never over, and as long as we remember, we survive. The end is only the beginning. But the adventure doesn't stop with the past. Our understanding of survival, adaptation, and evolution is constantly growing, and every new fossil unearthed, every ancient genome sequenced, adds to our picture of the saga that connects us to all life. The awe we feel when standing beside a dinosaur skeleton or staring into the fossilized burrow of a tiny mammal is more than curiosity. It's a recognition of kinship. These are our ancestors, our cousins, our fellow travelers through deep time. What might the world look like if another catastrophe struck tomorrow? The lesson of history is that no species is invincible. The mighty dinosaurs fell not from weakness, but from a perfect storm of chance and change. Our technology, cities, and culture may insulate us from many dangers, but they also create new vulnerabilities. Climate instability, loss of biodiversity, and the speed of modern life are challenges on a scale never seen before. To endure, we must draw on the oldest lessons, adapt quickly. In facing our own age of uncertainty, it helps to remember that survival is not a solitary act. Cooperation, across families, tribes, and even species, has always been a secret weapon. The mammals that survived the KPG extinction were those who sheltered together, shared warmth and knowledge, and risked themselves to protect the young and the old. In our own time, community, empathy, and a willingness to learn from others are just as vital. Look at the most successful survivors of the distant past. They didn't just weather the storm, they took advantage of chaos to explore, invent, and flourish in unexpected ways. Evolution rewards risk-takers, explorers, and those who seize the moment. Our ancestors were not passive victims of fate. They shaped their own destinies with every burrow dug, every migration undertaken, every leap of imagination that let them see a new path through danger. And yet, for all our progress, we are still bound by the rules of nature. We cannot survive alone. We need the pollinators, the forests, the oceans, the cycles of air and water that made life possible for dinosaurs, for mammals, for us. If the story of deep time teaches anything, it is that humility and gratitude must walk hand in hand with our ambition. What then is the final lesson of the dinosaur age? Perhaps it is this: the future belongs not to the strongest, but to the most adaptable, not to the solitary, but to the connected. Every step forward is built on the bones of those who came before, each extinction paving the way for new life, each struggle laying the foundation for a new kind of thriving. We are part of an unbroken lineage stretching back through ages of chaos and wonder. So as you step into your own unknowns, take a moment to honor the survivors whose blood runs in your veins, the shrew-sized mammals who scurried beneath the feet of giants, the family groups who huddled through the cold, the dreamers who painted on cave walls and sang the world into being. Their courage, creativity, and resilience are your inheritance. If you've enjoyed this journey, leave a comment about what surprised you most, or what lesson you'll carry with you. Hit subscribe, and join us again for more stories that bridge the gulf between past and present, between the ancient world and our own. Remember, every day you wake up is another chance to survive, to adapt, to become part of the greatest adventure in the universe, the adventure of life itself. Thank you for traveling through time. The story is far from over. The end, for now. And so, as we close this chapter of our journey through deep time, take a breath and remember how much has been overcome, how many odds defied. The world of dinosaurs was fierce and unforgiving, a place where almost nothing familiar survived, and yet, against all expectation, a tiny, fragile lineage managed to endure. The torch of life passed through asteroids, ice ages, mass extinctions, and endless dangers, carried forward by ancestors who could not imagine what was to come. Every lesson from those impossible ages is woven into your DNA. Every instinct for shelter, every leap of imagination, every act of care and curiosity is an echo of struggles that began long before written history. Our triumphs, our stories, our capacity for wonder, all stand on the bones of those who came before, who refused to let the light go out no matter how dark the night. As you step back into your own world, know that you carry within you the wisdom and resilience of 1 billion years. The age of dinosaurs is gone, but its legacy shapes you every day. Each heartbeat a testament to ancient victories, each breath a reminder of survival against the impossible. No matter the dangers ahead, be they personal or global, known or unforeseen, you are part of the same unbroken chain. The world will always be wild, unpredictable, and sometimes harsh, but it will also be full of beauty, discovery, and the joy of persistence. That is your inheritance as a survivor of deep time. Thank you for joining this exploration into life's greatest adventure. Remember, survival is not just about avoiding danger, but about seeking meaning, building connection, and carrying hope forward. The story continues with you. Until our next adventure together, keep wondering, keep learning, and keep daring to survive and thrive. Farewell, fellow traveler, until time calls us to the next great story. As the ages roll forward, the echoes of the ancient world still ring in every living thing. Our story, like theirs, is not over. The will to survive, to adapt, and to imagine a future against all odds is the greatest inheritance from our most distant ancestors. So as you reflect on this epic journey through time, remember, you carry within you the spark of countless survivors. Their courage and creativity pulse in every heartbeat. The story continues, and you are now part of its next great chapter.